right, here we go. Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut for the week of May 22nd.
Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut.
Okay, people, stand by. 30 seconds to upload.
Mic test, please.
It's the first time I've heard that, though. Put your music where your mouth is.
It's hot.
Okie dokie.
Stand by to roll theme. Mark the slate.
This is Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut.
Roll up the theme music. And we are online. Cue standard open.
This is Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut with Vanessa Hudgens.
I know High School Musical 2 is coming out, but are there any scenes that were in the first movie that really made you laugh? You know, you got kind of embarrassed, something you had to do?
What made me laugh a lot was in part of the movie where me and Troy meet up again and we're at school and he's like, I don't believe it. Me either. That part? Well, the part that I could not say, I get really tongue twisted sometimes, and I said my mom's company transferred her here to Albuquerque. Yeah, I could not say that line for the life of me. It took so many takes for me to get that out. Now that every time me and Zach watch it, we start laughing hysterically because I just couldn't get it out. It was so frustrating. And then he tried to say it and I'd get him tongue twisted too.
Well, that's good, so you weren't alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut with Vanessa Hudgens.
Well, I bet Zach made you laugh a whole bunch.
Yeah, he's hysterical.
Did he ever make, because when we talked to Raven one time, she would say, like, when they were filming That's So Raven, and they weren't on camera, but somebody else was, they would stand, like, beside the camera.
Make funny faces.
Yeah.
No, we try not to do that because we're trying to be professional, so they don't have to take more and more takes. But you know, like for reaction shots, we had this one time where it was on Zach and he's supposed to be looking at me and like painting, and it was just on him like smiling, having fun or whatever. And you know, I think he was tired or something, so he'd look over and he'd smile, but he wasn't like super duper duper like happy. So I was sitting there and we're filming. I'm sitting there and he goes back and he starts painting, and he looks back, and me and one of the 80s, who's this huge guy, he sits down where I was sitting and he looks over thinking it's me, and he saw him, and we started cracking up like he could not finish the scene. He just dropped his paintbrush and looked the other way and was laughing.
Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut with Vanessa Hudgens.
Had you ever dreamed, like, you know, when you were little, like, is this what you imagined for yourself, or is it you still have to pinch yourself sometimes?
I still have to pinch myself. I mean, so many people wish that they could be doing what I'm doing right now, and I just got fortunate enough to land the right parts and be associated with the right people that every now and then I just step back and I'm like, my gosh, like I have a song on the radio, people know who I am, and like this is what I've been working for forever. And you know, it's only the beginning, and I'm so happy that I've gotten here at still such a young age.
Well, what would your advice be to, because we have so many, you know, listeners who would love to do what you do, what would your advice to them be?
I'd say if you're really into it, start off in like musical theater and, you know, see if it's what you really want, because it's kind of tough. And, you know, if you decide to proceed with it, go for it 110%. I think keep going with theater, take acting classes, any kind of experience you can get will really help, because there's so many people out for the same role that you'll be going for, and the whole thing is so competitive, and there's a lot of rejection. But, you know, if you don't let that get to you, just go for it with all your might.
Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut with Vanessa Hudgens.
What's your favorite color?
It's between, like, I love, like, deep reds. That's my favorite color. And black. I just got my nails done black.
That seems to be, like, the really in thing to do now or something.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with my nails, though, I must say. Like, whenever I'm doing something, I get them, like, different. Like, I have black with silver tips right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Mine's all chipped off. I've been picking at it too much.
That's how mine gets, believe me.
What does your room look like at home?
It's like, it's very, okay, I'm a very romantic person, so I love my reds, and I have a whole bunch of candles, and my curtains are like red, and all my furniture is like deep, dark cherry wood, and I don't know, it's just kind of cozy.
Do you have, what kind of pictures do you have on your walls?
I have a few posters of people, friends, and stuff like that, but, you know, I try to keep my walls clean.
That wraps Radio Disney Now podcast, uncut. Roll theme.